Welcome to another deep dive. Today's mission, we're going to unpack the latest buzz from the NBA offseason. We're diving deep into player assessments, some surprising team strategies, and honestly, a few of the more head-scratching front office decisions that have, well, everyone talking. This deep dive is your shortcut to being well-informed, packed with surprising facts, and just enough humor, hopefully, to keep you hooked on the current state of the league. So let's jump right in.
Okay, first up, Anthony Davis. The conversation around whether he can truly deliver an MVP caliber year is it's absolutely buzzing. On one side, you've got folks who are incredibly bullish. They point to his averages last year. Was it 26, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 3.54 assists? They highlight him as this incredibly dominant two-way player when he's healthy. But then you have others, and they are strong in their disagreement. Some are almost calling him like the most overrated player of the NBA today. Where do you even start with that? Why such a massive gap in opinions?
It's a fascinating divide, isn't it? And it really hinges on, well, how you define MVP. His flashes, I mean, they're undeniable. When you look at the raw stats, the impact on both ends, he does have that talent. On paper, yeah, maybe it looks like an MVP season waiting to happen. Defensively versatile, offensively efficient when he's on. Think back to the bubble in 2020.
Oh, yeah, the bubble. He was a monster then.
Exactly. An absolute force. That's the potential everyone sees.
But, okay, if that potential is so clear, why haven't we seen it consistently? Is it really just the injuries? Or is there something else? Because the critics, they really zero in on that inconsistency, don't they?
They do.
They'll say, he torches a bad team one night, looks unstoppable, then the very next game, maybe against similar competition, he kind of disappears. Gives you like 15 and 8.
And that's the core of it, right? It's not always about the physical ability. Sometimes it feels like it's about that relentless aggression, that consistent dog mentality, maybe.
Yeah, the dog.
You look at guys like Jokic or Giannis. They impose their will constantly. Even on off nights, they're hunting shots, making plays. With Davis, sometimes it feels like he defers a bit more, or he's not demanding the ball in the same way. So the impact fluctuates. Plus, that jump shot, outside of that specific 2020 bubble environment, it hasn't been consistently reliable.
Right.
And let's be honest, he's never really been the undisputed best player on a true championship-level team consistently, or even the best player on a team making deep playoff runs year after year.
So this really throws a question out to you, the listener.
Yeah.
How much weight do you put on that undeniable peak potential versus the need for consistent night-in, night-out delivery over a whole grueling season? What does a VP really mean to you? Okay, let's shift gears. West Coast again, but a team often kind of forgotten. The New Orleans Pelicans. It's wild, actually. They have Zion Williamson, who, when healthy, is one of the most efficient players in the league, period.
Unbelievably efficient.
And they got other proven guys. Trey Murphy III, Herb Jones, C.J. McCollum, Jose Alvarado. Real talent there. But they just seem overlooked.
It is striking. That roster, on paper, has serious potential. But connecting this to the bigger picture, you see why the skepticism hangs around, a big part of it. Their schedule this year, analysts are calling it the toughest strength of schedule in the league.
Toughest. Wow. And looking closer, it's not just tough overall.
Yeah.
Right? That opening stretch looks absolutely brutal.
Oh, it's rough. 7 of their first 10 games are on the road, mostly against tough Western Conference teams.
You could genuinely see them starting, 1-9? Maybe 2-8 if they're lucky. The Charlotte game looks like the only likely win early on.
It's not out of the question at all. And that kind of start, man, that puts immense pressure on head coach Willie Green. It could really define his tenure there, fair or not.
And it gets worse.
Well, yeah. They're tied for the second fewest rest advantages, only 8 games where they've rested more than their opponent. That matters over 82 games.
Fewer rest days.
And conversely, they face 11 games with a rest disadvantage. Playing teams that are more rested, that's on the higher end. And it's just a physical grind, especially for a team with their well-documented injury history.
So you take the injuries, you take this killer schedule.
Yeah.
Does that explain the league's perception? Because it feels like night and day compared to Zion's rookie hype. Only 2 national TV games this season. 2, remember his rookie year? They had 31.
31, yeah. It's a massive drop. And it screams, doesn't it? It screams, we don't trust Zion to stay healthy, and we don't trust this team to be consistently compelling.
Harsh, but probably true from a network perspective.
It is. The league wants stars on the court generating buzz. And the Pelicans story, unfortunately, has been more about potential than consistent delivery. What if instead of what is. But there is a glimmer of hope in that schedule later on. Potential save-the-season stretches.
Okay.
From mid-November to late December, things ease up considerably. They have 17 home games versus only 5 away, multiple long homestands in there.
So a chance to make up ground.
Exactly. And February looks more manageable, too. So if they can just survive that brutal opening, there are opportunities to climb back.
Interesting. Okay, let's pivot to the East. There are these rumors swirling. The Chicago Bulls are apparently watching the New Orleans Pelicans roster very closely, basically hoping they possibly blow it up after that tough start we just talked about. What are you hearing? Who are they eyeing?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense strategically for Chicago. They're kind of in their own state of flux. Zion's the biggest name, obviously. And the interesting thing about his contract, despite the injury risk, is that it's seen as pretty team-friendly.
How so?
It has non-guaranteed years. So if a team trades for him and it doesn't work out, the long-term financial risk is very, very low. The trade cost and picks would still be huge naturally, but the salary commitment isn't as scary as you might think.
Gotcha. Less financial downside. Who else?
Trey Murphy III. He seems like a perfect fit, especially if Kobe White eventually moves on. He's on a great, extremely team-friendly contract. Ascending player, efficient, gives them shooting and length, checks a lot of boxes.
Makes sense.
And Herb Jones, too. Another solid wing, great defender. You could see the Bulls being interested there.
So how realistic is a trade? Can Chicago actually pull something off?
Well, they have the tools. They've got significant expiring contracts, adding up to about $62 million. That's crucial for matching salaries in a big trade. Gives them flexibility.
Right, the expiring deals.
Of course, there's that running joke our source mentioned. Every one of them is injury-prone. Joking about the Louisiana water.
Yeah, the Pelicans' injury luck is legendary.
So yeah, any move for a Pelican involves taking on that inherent injury risk. The Bulls would definitely be weighing that.
Speaking of the Bulls, they made an internal move too, right? In player development.
They did. A pretty significant shift. They officially promoted Austin Dufault to Director of Player Development. He replaces Peter Patton. Now, Patton had this reputation as a world-renowned shooting coach. And, the Bulls' shooting numbers did improve under him, so naturally people raise an eyebrow. Why move on?
Exactly. It sounds counterintuitive. You have a renowned shooting coach, your shooting gets better, and you replace him. Is this just, like, organizational spin?
It's a fair question. The official line from the Bulls is that player development is a broader departmental effort, not just one guy. Dufault is apparently strong in data analysis, which fits the modern NBA approach. And the new structure involves Dan Craig overseeing the on-court stuff alongside Dufault.
Okay, so maybe more integrated approach.
That seems to be the idea. And interestingly, the Bulls are actually one of only 9 NBA teams with a dedicated player development department. Less than half the league even employs a specific shooting coach.
Oh, really? So maybe they are ahead of the curve structurally, even with this change.
Structurally, perhaps, but the proof will be in the pudding, right? The development of their young guys, like Modis and Noah, that's the real test for this new leadership. If those guys pop, Dufault and Craig look brilliant.
True. Their jobs could be safe for years if they hit on those guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another team making moves, maybe quieter ones. The Brooklyn Nets. They acquired Haywood Highsmith.
Yep, another one of those Nets moves. Smart business. They got Highsmith and an unprotected 2032 second-round pick from Miami, gave up a protected 2026 second that probably won't even convey.
So basically, got a player and a future pick for almost nothing.
Pretty much. It's classic Nets asset accumulation. They're using their cap space. They still have, $10–16 million left, even after other moves, to absorb salary and pick up assets.
Smart way to rebuild without your own high picks. And Highsmith,
Yeah.
What's the deal with him?
He's a solid player, a serviceable rotation player, as they say. Great story, actually. Played D2, went undrafted, made it work. He's a capable defender, about 6'5", good length, athletic, high motor, and he's shot near 40% from three the last couple of seasons.
So, a useful 3-and-D guy.
Exactly. Valuable skill set. Now, he is recovering from meniscus surgery, had it August 8th. Expected recovery is 8–10 weeks, so he'll likely miss the start of the season.
And Miami did this just to get under the luxury tax.
Yep, purely a financial move for the Heat. For the Nets, Highsmith could be a rotation piece, or he could be a flippable salary.
Yeah.
His contract is modest enough that they could package him later in a bigger trade, maybe turn this small move into a bigger return down the road.
Adds to their already crowded wing rotation, though, doesn't it?
It does. They have a definite roster crunch, especially on the wing. So, yeah, this probably isn't the last move we see from Brooklyn. More adjustments likely coming.
Okay, let's swing back west. The Sacramento Kings, always an adventure with the Kings. They were aggressive in the draft, traded up into the late first for Nique Clifford, then grabbed Maxime Raynaud in the second. What's the intel on these guys? Are they ready to play?
Yeah, these were interesting picks because they went for older, more experienced college guys. Nique Clifford, he's being called an outstanding get. Scouts were really high on him, like, man, Nick can play. He's seen as NBA ready.
What does he bring?
Versatility, strong defense, can guard multiple spots, good off-ball awareness, high basketball IQ. There's even some internal talk he could play backup point guard.
Really? Backup point. Isn't he more of a wing?
That's the outside skepticism, yeah, about his size for the position. But the thinking is, he's a winning player, contributes beyond the box score. They feel he needs minutes now, like 12, 15 a game, to learn on the fly.
Okay, interesting. And Raynaud, the big fella.
Maxime Raynaud, the 7'1", 7'2" center, also seen as a fantastic get. He's got intriguing offensive potential, can shoot it, touch from outside, pick and pop ability, surprisingly fluid for his size, can even put it on the floor for a dunk sometimes. Defensively, there are questions, sure. Physicality, translating college D to the NBA. But he has shot blocking potential, maybe like a Brook Lopez or Miles Turner type down the line.
Fits next to Sabonis, maybe.
Potentially, yeah. As a pick and pop weapon or just a solid rebounder. Bigs take time, obviously, but the expectation is he can be a good backup pretty quickly. So the consensus seems to be these older rookies are ready for bench minutes now. They could shock some people and help the team right away.
Okay, so promising rookies ready to contribute. But the broader view of the Kings is still murky. They're often described as being in limbo. Got this roster full of veterans, big contracts, but maybe not much cohesion. People seem kind of curious, but also skeptical.
Yeah.
Also head shaking at their moves. Why is that?
Yeah, curiosity with skepticism sums it up perfectly. The limbo position feels like they keep making moves that seem okay in isolation, maybe,
Yeah.
but they don't add up to a coherent long-term strategy. They load up on veterans, pay them big money, but then you wonder, where's the internal development? How do the pieces fit? It often feels less than the sum of its parts.
And the recent hires. New GM Scott Perry, head coach Doug Christie. Both guys with previous Kings ties.
Exactly. That raises alarm bells for some observers. Is it truly merit-based? Or is it ownership maybe leaning on familiarity, given the team's checkered history with decision-making? It makes people wary.
Then there's the Jonathan Kuminga rumor. Kings interested, maybe involving Malik Monk in a protected first. This raises the big question. Does Kuminga even fit this roster? It feels like he doesn't address their main needs and would just jam things up further.
Especially for Keegan Murray.
That's the huge concern, absolutely. Kuminga's talented, no question. Young, athletic wing. But where does he play? You've got Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine dominating the ball. You're trying to develop Keegan Murray. Adding Kuminga seems like it pushes Murray even further down the pecking order. Doesn't solve their defensive issues or need for complementary shooting.
So what's the logic? A longer play.
There's talk of a 2-year plan, right off the current big contracts, then maybe build around Kuminga later. But that feels like selling a used car, as one source put it.
Like, can you keep Kuminga happy if he's not playing big minutes immediately? Does he actually make them better now or significantly better later? Big questions.
And it all circles back to Keegan Murray, doesn't it? Former number 4 pick. His usage, his opportunities, they seem suppressed.
Massively suppressed. And it's tough, optically, right? How do you tell highly paid veterans like DeRozan and LaVine, hey, we're cutting your minutes so Keegan can get more shots? It's a difficult needle to thread for any coach or front office.
Yeah, that's a locker room challenge.
And it ties into broader asset management worries, like not extending Keon Ellis earlier. Now they risk losing a valuable young guy. Signing Dennis Schroeder to a 3-year deal. Okay, veteran guard. But does that block minutes for Devin Carter?
Who missed Summer League, so this is kind of his rookie year.
Exactly. Carter needs reps. So you draft these NBA-ready guys like Clifford. You have Carter needing minutes. But then you sign veterans or chase trades that might block their path. It just feeds that skepticism about whether there's a clear, coherent plan in Sacramento.
Okay, so if we try to connect all these threads, tie it all together, we've seen teams navigating these brutal schedules like the Pelicans. We've seen clever asset accumulation like the Nets, bold draft choices, weird roster fits, coaching changes. It's a lot. What stands out to you the most about how these different teams are approaching things right now? Is it the gambling on health, the asset plays, the patience or lack thereof with young guys?
It really highlights how different the paths are, doesn't it? And how every single move, big or small, has downstream consequences. There's no one right way, clearly. But you see teams like the Nets being very deliberate, accumulating assets. You see the Pelicans facing this schedule gauntlet that could force their hand. The Bulls waiting to pounce. The Kings, well, being the Kings, making moves that keep us guessing. It's just clear that the path to actually winning to sustain success is incredibly difficult and rarely straightforward. constant balancing act.
Yeah, definitely not straightforward. So here's a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. As all these teams chase that elusive championship, how much are they truly willing to sacrifice? Whether short-term optics, fan-favorite players, or maybe even a coherent plan, all for a long-term vision that might or might not ever actually pay off. It's a massive gamble every time. Like and subscribe for more.